Alright, so we're going to have a quick video on how to install Code Composer Studio for Texas Instruments so you can do development on your MSP microcontroller. Okay, so yeah, all I did there was search Code Composer Studio on whatever search service you want. It brings you to this website, so this is the website if you need to manually type it in if it's not working. And when you get here, it's not really a super convenient thing to look at. But you have to scroll down. Texas Instruments web pages are set up so you can like find data sheets and stuff like that. And they're not necessarily set up to support software. So in this case, in order to do software, you're essentially buying it, but you're buying it for free. So you click here, and it brings you to the download page. If you miss that, that's order now, and then part number. Click the right button, and you look for what to install. So you, you can either grab the one that's going to download it as you're installing, or you can download it all and then install it later. So if you happen to be on a fast Wi-Fi right now, then maybe you download the full installer and then install it later when you're on something slow. If you are just on the Wi-Fi that you're going to use the entire time, then you do this. Depending on what you have with your computer, it might take hours to do this. So you probably want some place that you can sit for a while. But if you download the single file installer, you can do it later at night, perhaps while you're doing other things. So that's to get release 10.2. If you want a release that's previous to that, it's over here. So 9.2 might be what you want. But if you're only going to be working with yourself and using your own computer, then 10.2 is the latest release and has a couple new features, like I think it has dark mode and stuff like that. So we're going to go with this one. So you click on it, it does the normal grabbing it. Because we grabbed the much smaller file size, it didn't take long, and it's just down there getting ready to be clicked. All right, you click it, it comes up with the standard window. Make sure that you want to do that warning. You click yes on that. I don't think my capture card quite captured that. Then it brings up the install. We'll see that in a second. View. Uh, there aren't too many tricks here. Read the license. I've already read that thing. Make sure you know what you're authorizing TI to do. Yeah, nothing here should also look like this. I'm saying I should reboot and have an antivirus running, and then antivirus will make things slow and perhaps give us an issue. So if you have any issues, this is likely why, the antivirus issue. I'm going to just try to push through and see what happens. I haven't tried in a while on this one, and I'm pending a reboot because I just uninstalled some things. But I'm going to just push through anyway because we're already recording. Oh, it gave me a thing saying still reboot, but we're gonna go for it. So it says custom installation or full installation. We're just gonna do custom and then select the things we want. For my case, we're doing the MSP432 as part of Engineering 226 class. So I'm going to select that. The rest of these are for any particular needs you might have in the future, different product lines and stuff like that. Doesn't hurt to check any of those boxes. Just well, it doesn't hurt as far as using it later, but it will take up more space and it'll take longer to install. Um, yeah, these are just standard warnings. You can ignore all those. So I need to download ones that are not locally available. You will need access to the internet. If you have a firewall, no, I don't have a firewall. Uh, most of you will not have a firewall either. Okay, so depending on your internet, you may see this take a while. and depending on how it goes for me, I might pause this video and say, yeah, I didn't press anything. I just, kind of waited for things to happen. But um, because some of these times vary and can get discouraging to you, and you wonder, how long things should be taking, I'm just allowing this to go. You can skip ahead if you find yourself already ahead of me. Okay. This can take a while, so I'm just going to mute myself and let it record, but you're going to hear some silence. Okay, so a reboot is required to complete this installation. That's pretty valid. You should probably do that. You can create a desktop shortcut so it's easy to find later. Probably recommended. It will show up in your Windows start files as well. So just so I don't need to stop the video, I'm going to go through and attempt to start it, and we'll see what happens. All right. So it comes up with a default directory, and this is kind of important to write down because once you're in the program, you don't necessarily know where it is. Each time you start it until you click this box down here, to say don't ask me this question anymore. Each time you start it, it's going to ask you this question. So you can find it later if you don't write it down, but once you're in there, you might actually care about what the path is to get to your code if you need to save it or send it or back it up or anything like that. So it defaults to workspace v10. That's the default, like workspace is the default thing for CCS. You can name it whatever you want. Um, if you're working on a network drive, you might choose to put it out there instead. So this might be a W drive. If you're working on your own computer, this is just a SQL users, and then where you want to save it. I'm going to leave it as default just so you know where that is. If you upgrade CCS, it will actually put a different V after here. So if you're installing 9.2, this should be V9 instead of V10. But none of that actually matters. It's just all to try to keep things organized. It doesn't affect functionality. So launch it. It goes out and it creates that directory for you on your workspace. Windows will say, hey, do you want to do these things? This is the thing I got. Um, so it does try to talk to TI to check on updates and to download example code and stuff like that. So likely you want to allow this access, just giving you the idea that it's out there and that's what it's there for. Um, yeah, you can choose to allow whatever access. Probably, I don't know. You can allow both, but that's up to your own security preferences. Okay, so this is how CCS looks like version 10.0. 9.0 looks a little different. They're just trying to modernize the interface. This is all built on Eclipse. If you know what Eclipse is, it's just a general um, coding environment. So the first thing you want to do is have Project Explorer visible. You can see this icon is the same as this icon, so you can always just click over here. But if you don't have it, it's View Project Explorer, and that's pretty key. And then you got these buttons up here to, you know, kind of make it permanent. I click the Restore button, so you've got the minimize that does the shrinking, and then the Restore button will return it, and that will store all of your projects over on the left hand side. On occasion, you might want to minimize it when you're doing complicated programs, um, but otherwise you'll be fine just to keep it there. Saying updates available, you can do that anytime. Most of the updates are not critical for what you're doing, but you should keep it generally up to date. So on occasion, go out there and do that. To make your first program, you're going to go new CCS project. You find the processor that you're caring about. I talked about during the installation, I have a MSP432 and I have MSP432P401R, which is on the MSP432 Launchpad. So if you click that's how you get there. Should you have installed everything, you can narrow down what the options are over here by just selecting the family first. Give it a name. Best to not start it with a number. That complicates things. Spaces generally complicate things, and uh, so you either do, all characters or an underscore. Doesn't break things for every programming language and compiler all the time, but the more likelihood that this path right here doesn't have any spaces or uh, things that start with numbers or asterisks or any special character other than an actual character, a number, or an underscore, the more likely you're going to have success in developing um, programs. So we will install that. I'm to mute for just 1 second. Okay, so this is your first program. Nothing is actually occurring in here. And you can change a bunch of options, but we'll just, for the first programming, the hammer up here does the build. We'll see all the compilation messages, and it says build and finish. Once it's built and finished, then when you want to program the device and do a debug, then you'll press this green button right here. Unfortunately, I didn't actually plug in a board, so we will just stop right here. But this is where you would debug. You press the little icon that looks like a bug. And anytime this program is in bold, that's the program you're running. If you have another program over here and it's not bold and doesn't say active, then that's you're not actually running that one. So if you're having any weird behavior, it's likely you're on the wrong program.